everybody, and welcome back to Sardinia, round 3 of the FIA Motocross World Championship. We are at Riola Sardo on the island just off the coast of Italy, and as you can see, it's surrounded by natural beauty, beaches, mountains, rivers, lakes, and all the rest of it. And we've been coming in now. It's the 4th consecutive visit, and this one once again proving to be just as tough as they always have been. We've got warmer than normal temperatures starting to build here, mid to high 20s. We've got a nice southerly breeze coming up from the south. Great if you're here as a spectator, not so much if you're a rider. And we've got a very heavy, deep sand track as well. My name's Paul Malin. Alongside me, Jason Thomas from Fly Racing. And Jason Thomas, great to be back here again, and we're getting ready for race 2. MX2 riders are coming off the circuit now at the end of their sight lap. The first one was tough for some. It's only going to get tougher from here, isn't it?
Yeah, the track's getting rougher and rougher throughout the weekend, and obviously the heat is coming on as well. So this second race, even though they've had a 2-hour break, is going to be again, it's going to be another test.
And obviously it doesn't look like they've made too many modifications to the circuit. Still pretty bumpy. Yes, they would have fixed takeoffs and landings, but it's beach sand here. We are literally 500 meters away from the coastline. So that heavy beach sand, it gets watered, but that can only do so much, but it is bottomless. And some riders have never experienced anything like it. Those who've ridden here over the past 2 or 3 years have. But either way, it doesn't make it any easier. Even if you come here in the winter where it's cooler and wetter, it's even heavier in those conditions. But the only benefit there is it's cooler.
Yeah, and I think the difference is you just can't ever really relax. You'll constantly have to be holding on with your arms and your legs. There is no coasting. There is no way to really get a break throughout the race. On harder pack tracks, you can kind of let the bike float a little bit, not on sand like this.
Well, temperatures are starting to creep up, even though we are in the early stages of April. But if you weren't with us earlier and want to know what happened in MX2 Race 1, highlights are coming up next. It was an interesting battle between the 2 teammates, if anything else. The gate dropped, eyes over to the left, the 2 riders in red, the number 74 with the red plate, the championship leader, but it was the 19 of Sascha Coenen who grabbed his 3rd foxhole shot of the campaign. He was closely followed in, though, to the outside, the number 74, Kai de Wolf, and he was bringing with him the 96 of Lucas Coenen. These 2, the fastest riders on track pretty much throughout the weekend. Kai de Wolf then got the better of Sascha Coenen as he moved into the lead on lap 3. And then, not long after that, further down the field, Simon Laengenfelder got the better of Adamo. And that was for 6th place. Lucas Coenen then caught his brother and moved into 2nd place. That was on lap 4. And then Laengenfelder and the fast starting number 44, Rick Elzinga, they started to go at it. Elzinga starting to drop backwards. That move was for 5th place. And Adamo going past the 44 as well. That was for 6 at the midway point. Very, very heavy conditions, catching some riders out. Lucas Coenen, one of them. That wasn't the first time he fell either. Then the battle for the lead. There had been a couple of mistakes creeping in up until this point. And then all of a sudden, Coenen, around the outside, closed off the attack. And that was on lap 13 of 18. Thibaut Beneston nearest to us. He was charging his way through the field. He caught Laengenfelder. And then the riders ahead of him, Sascha Coenen and Andrea Adamo, he actually got up into 4th place. Sascha Coenen then fell back. He would eventually come back in 13th, but it was a comfortable win by Lucas Coenen. De Wolf 2nd, McLellan 3rd on the Triumph. Adamo and Harp, your top 5. So let's go down to Lisa. She caught up with Camden McLellan, who got a career best 3rd. Before that, though, Sascha Coenen.
We are almost ready for the penultimate race of the day, MX2 Race 2, but let's catch up with first Red Bull KTM Factory MX2 rider Sascha Coenen. Sascha, we have to talk about that first race. You were right at the sharp end, looking confident, looking really good actually, and then just a couple of crashes and you just kind of lost in concentration. It just didn't go well for you. What happened from your seat, and also are you okay, because it didn't look that good, that one of those crashes?
Yeah, it was quite good the first start of the moto, but yeah, had 2 crashes. And was it not so good here because it's quite really hot, right. And yeah, to pick up the bike and stuff, it's really difficult, but it's like this. And yeah, after the second crash, didn't felt so good. Had a bit pain on my head, but we will see how it is the second motor, and we give it all.
Absolutely, and let's look at the positives. Third foxhole shot for you. So important to get the starts, and if you get the starts, I mean, you're halfway there already, so that's something to build on, isn't it?
Yeah, I almost had the podium finish, but it's like this. I need now to keep building like this and do some motos and yeah, keep my stars in front and just have the rhythm, because we have the rhythm, we just need to finish a moto.
Well, best of luck for the second race. Thank you, Sasha. Camden, do you think we could be third time lucky with this one?
I hope so, Lisa. I'm surprised it's taking you that long, but you know what? I'll let it slide. But third time lucky, as they say.
Okay, so it's not Callum McLellan, it's Camden.
It's not Camden, it's Camden.
Okay, noted. Yeah, Camden, let's speak about that first race. That was the first top 10 finish for you. That was a good result for you, first top 3 finish.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I got off to a pretty bad start, to be honest, and then hugged the inside, and then first 2 laps I was very, very aggressive, made some good passes. And then from there, kind of try to find the flow. You know, it's really warm. Track is brutal. It's really, really demanding. So it was a good race. Kind of saved some energy, and then in the end, Thibaut was coming, so I had to, you know, fire up a little bit again at the end. But good race. Hopefully, we can carry it into the second moto.
I mean, you mentioned the temperatures. Is it fair to say, I mean, you're from South Africa, you're perhaps a bit more accustomed to these hotter conditions, or not?
No, not at all. If I was living in South Africa, I think I would be, but I'm based in Belgium now, have been for many years, so I'm unfortunately used to just rain and minus degrees and that, especially in the winter, obviously. So it's hot for me, no doubt about it. Very, very much like South Africa, but unfortunately I don't live there anymore.
Well, best of luck for this second race. Thanks for chatting to us, Camden. Okay, good luck to all the guys. It's time to MX2 race 2.
Yeah, well, it's good when they catch him in Callum McLellan. That's what she was calling him in Argentina. Anyway, look, here's the calendar. No pun, no calendar. We've had 2 rounds. We're round 3, MXGP of Sardegna, Real Asado. We go back-to-back for the first time this year, next weekend in Trentino, so completely different ground, hard rock, edgy. And then, of course, we have a week off, or 2 weeks off, and then we go 3 in a row. Portugal, Galicia, which is northern Spain, and then France at Saint-Jean-d'Angely down there in the southwest. So,
la numero 72 di Liam Everts.
Here's how the riders line up for MX2 Race 2. Kai de Wolf on pole for the second time. 2 qualifying race wins for him back-to-back in the first couple of rounds. Thibaut Beneston goes to line second, ahead of Rick Elsinger. Camden McLellan, and he made good use of that start in race 1. Even though he said he hugged the inside after a poor start, it paid off for him in the end. Jason Thomas, we saw the race highlights a few moments ago, but what can we expect this time around? A lot of surprises for this guy here, because everyone expects him to run away with it, but that wasn't the case.
Yeah, I certainly did. When he got to the lead, he looked comfortable. I kind of thought it would be just a repeat of Saturday's performance, but this rider here, number 96, had other plans, and really, once he got to the lead, absolutely disappeared into the distance, won by 20 seconds. So I think it was a pretty strong message sent. Now he's got to follow through and win race 2.
Thibaut Beneston was unfortunate there, the 198, because he got himself up from outside of the top 10 to 4th with a lap to go, 2 laps to go, and then fell on the final lap down to 10th place, and that put him a lap down as well. He'll still get the points, 11 points, but coming into the final race of the day, he's now 8 points off of 4th place Adamo. Neither of those two are having a fantastic season, even though it says 4th or 5th in a championship. But for Adamo, defending champion, that was a long first race, finishing in 4th, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, and he just has to try to build, right? Race 2 in Spain was fantastic. See the Fly Racing 15-second board about to go up, but I think for Beneston and for Adamo, they just got to try to bounce back here in race 2.
Well, as you say, the Fly Racing 15-second board up then for the final time. MX2 race 2. 1 or 2 riders already getting over the handlebars there. Just final checks, making sure everything is okay. That will turn to 5. Heads down. Gates came from over on the left-hand side, about 6 or 7 over. The number 19, Lucas Coenen. Sasha Coenen last time. Will it be him this time around? Yes, it is. Once again, he's got Adamo with him, and Laengenfelder on the 5-6, and then up the inside was one of the triumphs there going down. And it's the number 11 of Hara, because the 8 in that second corner of Camden McLellan, but it is the 74 of Kai de Wolf, who leads the way from Sascha Coenen, Simon Laengenfelder, and then the two Red Bull KTMs either side, Adamo and the 72 of Everts just there on screen. Explosive start once again for the 74. Is he going to be able to run with it? Here is that Lucas Coenen coming into shot now in red around the outside. What's that, 7th, 8th place? 7th place.
Yeah, we've seen that first corner catch so many people out this weekend. They rework it, it's softer in the front, tire digs in, and a lot of it I think they can't see where they're going. There's so much traffic and dirt flying around. It only takes a little bit to end up on the ground there.
Well, similar to what happened to Harper in the first race. He went down on the opening lap, was all the way down to 27th, and then picked himself back up to an impressive 5th place. Does he have the energy reserves after that energy-sapping race in race 1? Laengenfelder already up in the second. There's Sascha Coenen, the 19 in third. His teammate Adamo fourth, but look how quick the 96, your winner from race 1, is making light work and easily doubling the outside there since they refixed it, reshaped that double. No one else in MX2 jumping that. And look how light he is on the back wheel, picking up the front end, clearing those holes on the back wheel. That momentum, so important when the conditions are heavy as they are like this.
Well, and these passes are so much easier to make when everybody's bunched up, right? If he lets Kai de Wolf get a lead, everybody starts to space out. He loses so much time, and it also just takes so much more effort to move to the front. He's gone from 8th place into 3rd here in literally half a lap.
Just look how he just picked up the front end through there. It was almost like it was a flat track for him. He's got Laengenfelder right there, and is he going to move into 2nd? Yes, he is. Absolutely scything his way through. The sensation that is the 17-year-old Lucas Coenen is absolutely on fire. He wants to go 1-1 here, and his teammate knows it as well. Did you notice how he looked over his shoulder a half a lap ago on that liquid moly jump to make sure where is he? Where is the threat? At that stage, he was in about 8th place. Yeah. He's already up to 3rd.
Yeah, and it's all about assessing the situation. He likely didn't even know that de Wolf had gotten out front, but you need to know. You need to know, is he going to try to check out? And that will also determine how urgent Lucas Coenen needed to be on that first lap, and immediately he started making passes because he knows he can't let de Wolf get a big lead.
Well, Laengenfelder did manage to find his way back past, even though we cut away from the final turn where Lucas Coenen sided up the inside. He looked like he did bury it, and I can only imagine Laengenfelder just had the traction at that rear wheel, scoop digging in perfectly just to get him over the line again in that 2nd place. But this is a roadblock that Lucas Coenen does not need on this 2nd lap.
Yeah, and if they had been on 450s, he probably is able to make that pass, but these 250s require so much momentum, and you can see Laengenfelder just using that outside line to repass Coenen there.
He was very quick through here a lap ago, and I think Laengenfelder knows it as well, because he moved across to jump that double. But anyway, doesn't matter, because he's going right to left, using the outside, using the inside in the next turn. Or will he switch it back? No, he has to hit the lock, has to lock on the brakes. Stays nice and low, stays out of the holes. But again, that momentum from the outside almost working for Laengenfelder. But this time, Lucas Coenen on the 96, Husqvarna is through into 2nd place.
Yeah, and he's going to have clean air here all the way up to de Wolf, so we'll see how quickly or if he is able to close that gap down. But you know, de Wolf, he's had a 2-hour break. He had to just be stewing back at the race hall or thinking about that race, thinking about the lead he let go. And you see de Wolf has already started to pull a gap here. He's got a 5-second lead, so the mission's clear here, but you can see you see Coenen make a pretty big mistake. It's going to be a pretty tough challenge to close this gap down. If he's able to do that again in race 2, catch de Wolf, pass him again, you think about what message that sends in the sand, where I think everybody was looking for de Wolf to come in here and continue its winning ways.
Well, a moment ago, before they all hit the line, the podium situation, de Wolf and Lucas Coenen, they will be 1st, 2nd, 2nd, 1st. They will share the points, but it will be de Wolf on the top step of the podium, Coenen 2nd. But Laengenfelder, Adamo, and McLellan, they were all tied on 34 points for that 3rd step of the podium. So there are going to be a couple of battles. It's now 33 for McLellan, but before he hit the line a moment ago, that was the situation. But here is Sascha Coenen. He's still there in 4th place. And it's going to be good enough for 8th overall for him at the moment. Not where he wants to be, but how costly were those mistakes for him in race 1, because he could have been a podium finisher.
Yeah, it really all came apart for him in that race 1. And he spoke to it in the pre-grid interview there about the rhythm. He has the rhythm. Now it's just taking it all the way to the checkered flag. So we'll see if he's able to at least take steps towards that.
The defending champion, number 80 on the Red Bull KTM, just here, Andrea Adamo. He is in 5th place at the moment. He was 4th in race 1, and he is vying for a podium step. If he does, it'll be back-to-back podiums for him, given the fact that he had a difficult winter, in his words. Whatever that was, possibly just through the testing period. But he knows coming from Sicily, which is obviously the south of Italy as well, that the heat, these kind of conditions should play into his hands. But like so many of these riders, they base themselves up in Northern Europe, in and around Belgium and Holland, where temperatures are normally about 20 degrees cooler than they are now, a lot wetter and a lot heavier. So everybody's in this boat for the first time, it appears, with the weather.
And it's just an acclimation thing. If this was, you know, July or August, wouldn't be a big worry, but none of these riders have really spent any time here yet in 2024 training in these conditions.
So De Wolf, 4.9 seconds clear at the moment. He's 3/4 of a second slower that time around than Lucas Coenen. So as you said before, if Lucas Coenen can dig in as he did, stay out of trouble, and find himself under the rear wheel of Kai De Wolf, well, then we've got a new Sand King in the house, because made it look very easy in the first race, applied the pressure, bided his time, waited for a couple of mistakes, which came late on, and he capitalized, took it with both hands, and from there, no one saw him.
Well, and De Wolf has to be feeling a little bit of deja vu, and in the worst way here, because you think about the Saturday race, we all thought he was going to run away. Benestont closed the gap down. Race 1, the same thing. De Wolf's trying to check out. Coenen not only closes the gap down, but then is able to completely pull away. And then here in race 2, the same setup. Now, how does De Wolf respond?
Well, with just over 23 minutes plus 2 laps to go, gaps opening up all over the place. Here is Camden McLellan. He was third in race 1. He's in his own little battle at the moment in 8th. He's got Marc-Antoine Rossi in the class as a rookie ahead of him, and these two are going bar to bar. McLellan, though, makes light work of the Italian. He's now up to 7th, but 23 minutes still to run. So Camden McLellan then. Camden McLellan holds that nice tight inside line. Didn't want to leave the door open just in case there was a late attack there from the 28 of Rossi. And he now has clear track to go after the number 72 of Liam Everts, who we know is still not 100% fit. Yeah, and a little bit of a bounce-back ride from Rossi. We haven't seen him all weekend, whether the qualifying race or race 1, so finally kind of showing the promise. You know, he had such a great opening round in Argentina. I think he surprised many people, including myself. So this is the kind of ride he needs to follow through on, and it's been a tough weekend, but this could leave here on a positive note if he could have a good result. Working their way in the opposite direction here. Number 19, Sasha Coenen. Back-to-back hole shots for him then today. Moves him to 4. The rider ahead of him just here, the 5.16, Simon Laengenfelder in 3rd place. Still very, very tight for the podium. Look, 3 riders on 34 points. The next pass gets it. Still late. Still a long time to go, though. 22 minutes around here can feel like an eternity. The temperature is hotter than it was for the first race. Adamo looking to charge his way down the inside of his young teammate here. Big panic rev there for the number 80. Dancing his way around. Not easy as well. What people don't know if they've never ridden motocross, you're constantly eating sand, literally eating sand, aren't you, off the rear wheel? And you don't notice it until after the race, because by then, when you need that drink and you're gagging as Adamo tries to go bar to bar with his teammate, you've got so much sand in the back of your throat that you're almost retching. It's amazing you don't retch during a race, isn't it, in those kind of conditions, because your adrenaline and your thoughts and your focus is on the race. You don't even realize you're even going dry mouth or needing that kind of clear throat, if you like. Well, and you think about it, we've all probably retched, but also your mouth is wide open the entire race. I don't think many people realize that. You simply can't breathe in enough oxygen through your nose, so your mouth is wide open. Every time Roos is hitting it, guess what's going down your throat? All that dirt. So, Adamo losing a little bit of ground. So again, as we saw in the first race, and maybe in the qualifying race, just making little mistakes here and there, just pushing too hard. The view from above as the riders go down past pit lane. We are on lap 5, MX2 race 2 here in Sardinia. It's as you were a lap ago, with the Wolf leading the way, 2.9 seconds clear, because every time that Coenen has passed the line, as his brother goes down, Sasha Coenen throws it away, loses the front end. Adamo will say, you know what, I'll take that 4th place with both hands, if you don't mind. And for Sasha Coenen, it's just more of the same, right? The start's great, the early pace is great, but then it's critical mistakes. And you wonder if it's just a fatigue thing. Is he not able to sustain this pace, and that's creating mistakes? Back end just got out at the wrong moment, then the front folded, and that was it. Nothing he could do. He was a passenger. And he doesn't have the longest legs either to sort of bail him out of trouble. Unfortunate that, because he was in 4th. He picks himself up, and he rejoins in 7th place. But the point I was making about Lucas Coenen, every time he's hit the line since getting into that 2nd place, he has whittled that gap down. I think he said it was 5 seconds as he got into that 2nd place. It's now 1.9. So with every split that he hits, he is whittling that gap down, and De Wolf will know, and all of a sudden De Wolf will be under pressure again. And when that happened in race 1, the mistakes crept in.
Yeah, and De Wolf kind of waved the white flag in the first one. Once Coenen made the pass, he really didn't put up a fight. There's really no reason to save energy now, right? So I don't think it'll be the same strategy where he kind of lets Coenen go and saves anything. So I think we may be in for more of a battle than we were in the first race.
Look how McLellan just hit that line there compared to someone like Lucas Coenen. Hit that whole front end first, whereas Lucas Coenen was on the back end through there. And riders do watch this, don't they? And they see, oh yeah, maybe just looking too far around the corner, didn't see what was right there in front of him. Camden McLellan, lucky to stay up.
Yeah, and on a track like this, you have to keep the front end light. You know, the dirt is so heavy in certain places, and the holes, you know, if you can stay light and allow the front end to kind of be free floating, it just makes your life so much easier and also keeps you away from the big mistakes.
I wonder how much of this race for Camden McLellan is based on the fact that he was 3rd in race 1, knowing he's got a shot of going for the podium. So maybe a little bit tight in the early stages. A rider who isn't tight, though, is Lucas Coenen. It was 1.9 about a half a lap ago, and all of a sudden he is all over the back of Kai de Wolf. And this is the battle for the lead once again, as you were in race 1, exactly the same scenario in race 2. De Wolf, the favourite, but Lucas Coenen showing everybody he is a serious match, but the risks that he takes sometimes, he came up short, he rode that one out. On other days, he's not been so fortunate.
Yeah, it's been a kind of a boom or bust early career for Lucas Coenen, right? He's shown easily the most speed at times, but we've also had critical mistakes that have taken him out of far too many races. So at some point, you think he's going to grow out of that, and it's going to be more good than bad. And that's all we're really seeing today. He hasn't put very much of a foot wrong.
But for 17 years old, still very, very super talented. Look how quick he is through this turn here. And 1-1 in Indonesia in Sumbawa when it was 30, 32 degrees and very humid last year in the summer.
The key is
money is on him to do the same again here.
And he does things you can't teach. You know, that's the innate qualities he has. You know, the supreme talent, the balance, the coordination you can see in his riding. Those are not teachable things. So the maturity, the experience, the better decision making, all those things will come with time. This superior speed that he has, the way he can put sections together, put combinations together on the racetrack, those things are not something that you really develop. Those you either have that or you don't.
I know we say it every time, but TV definitely flattens everything out, doesn't it? This racetrack, I remember Ben Townley came in the booth 1 year when Valandrin won, I think it was, and he said it was literally the roughest track he'd ever seen. And Ben Townley was a former world champion in MX2, got Grand Prix wins in MX1, as it was then, MXGP now. And then went to America, and there you go. There is the boom or bust from Lucas Coenen. He's going to have to be very, very quick on his feet because Laengenfelder is only 9 seconds behind. Electric start, he'll fire it into life. And there is a gift for Laengenfelder, and there is a gift for De Wolf. The mistake came just pushing too hard. And Lucas Coenen bites the dust, and he's got it all to do again.
Yeah, and the race is not over. We still have a lot of time left, but those are the mistakes. When we talk about why is Lucas Coenen not in championship contention, these are the things. It's not the speed, it's not the ability, it's those mistakes. And sometimes you wonder, I don't believe that was necessarily a poor decision, but other times you're like, you should just be more patient, you have lots of time. That just looked like a simple mistake.
He, obviously, the best way to ride sand is jump through the corners, and he just came in at the wrong time, folded the front, and that was it. You know, the front too high, too much of an angle, and that was it, just buried it. But easy mistake to make, even easier when you're at the speed that these guys are going, particularly him, in these conditions.
Yeah, just a little bit too much trust in the front end there.
Well, he's got Laengenfelder right there where he wants him again. But he has now left himself with a mountain to climb if he is to reel in Kai de Wolf once more and make it a 1-1 here in Sardegna. We are on lap 8. De Wolf now enjoys a very comfortable 12.4 seconds over Simon Laengenfelder. And then Lucas Coenen. So Lucas Coenen then about a second further back, but it wasn't as prominent now because he's all over the back of him once again. And I thought he was going to go down. I didn't think he was going to survive the tree there. But another heart-in-mouth moment, but you can't knock the effort from the kid either. No. I'd rather see this. And look at that. It's that kind of determination that is producing these kind of rides. So the frustration levels, even just watching him, you know, like the boom bust, like you said, and all of a sudden he has one big moment, should scare the average person, but he just keeps it pinned, comes back in the very next corner, launches up the inside and back into second. First opportunity, grabs it, takes it, runs with it.
Well, I don't think he's given up on this race yet. You know, you think about the lead he was able to pull late in race one. The way he's riding with this much intensity, I think he still believes he could maybe make a run at DeWolf late. He's going to have to put in some really solid laps here. If he can get that lead down to 7 or 8 seconds to where DeWolf starts thinking about the lead coming down, he'll have a chance.
Be interesting to see what the gap is this time around then, won't it? Because it was 12.9 when he found his way into second at the last split, which is at the start of the wave section, that straight that they've been on now. And we'll come out of the next couple of corners and take a look at the mistakes first of all. This was the first. That cost him a little bit of time. Nothing on that one though. But this was the other one. I didn't think he was going to survive that one. And then this one here, that was the first one. No, that was the pass. All exciting stuff though, isn't it? 13 minutes remain, plus 2 laps. The gap between Kai de Wolf and Lucas Coenen is now 13.2 seconds. A couple of mistakes, a couple of errors for Coenen. But he is back into second. He's just found his way past this rider here, the 516. There's a rider down in the corner there. Back marker, I think. He didn't look like one of the Huskies, so not sure who it was that was down there and then. But the gap between de Wolf and Coenen is 12.6 now. And look at him just dancing his way through those turns. Laengenfelder, we said, damage limitation at the start of the MX2 broadcast in race 1. And that's certainly what it is, because he's going to be leaving here with 34 points at the moment as it stands right now. De Wolf on 47.
Yeah, barring a crash by de Wolf here, it's really important the next 2 to 3 laps, because both de Wolf and Coenen, when they come past the mechanics, they're going to see the board, and it's either going to say -12, +12. If that starts coming down, it feeds in both directions. Coenen will gain confidence, start trying to close the gap more, but if it stays, you wonder when does Coenen just say, okay, it's not going to happen this time. I don't want to crash again. I don't want to give more points away. So these laps are really, really critical. It feels like the middle of the race, but as far as how the final few laps go, this is really important.
And sometimes it's important to know when to take that podium as well. He hasn't got a podium in the first 2 rounds. He was 4th overall in Spain. He has the chance. Yes, he can win it if he goes 1-1, but 2nd overall, you build from those kind of foundations. So that's important that he gets out of this one, at least on the podium today.
Yeah, and I would expect him to put in some really hard laps here and say, okay, if I'm catching 2 seconds a lap, I have a chance of this. If that doesn't happen, though, I think he'll do exactly what you're saying and start to settle.
151.6 for de Wolf, 150.3, the gap down to less than 12 seconds now. He still believes he can win with 11 minutes and 2 laps to go.
Yeah, and you read the pit board there, it says you can with the lap time, so they haven't given up yet, and that's critical. Again, the effort level, and it's about the risk-taking for Coenen. You know, how much is he willing to risk? If he's closing the lead down, he'll still continue to push.
Rider down just here. Now, was that a wave yellow or a stationary yellow going into the right-hander there? Because that will be looked at. And that'll be a shame as well if there is any comeback from that. But the 2 Yamahas, Rick Elzinga and Thibaut Beneston, they are in 9th and 10th. But it's Beneston that's just been passed by Elzinga. So he did find his way past him a moment ago. But
Beneston has to be devastated with this Sunday. After he looked so fantastic on Saturday, this can't be the day he was thinking about.
Back into view then, Rick Elzinga and Thibaut Beneston, who's been on the podium a couple of times here in the past. Not going to be close to the mark today, though, because of that mistake in race 1. It's a couple of 10th place finishes for him at the moment. Laengenfelder has been caught by Adamo, who wrestles a bank on the way into that left-hander. Oh, I tell you what, talk about wrestling with the the reeds and the brush. Jumped across the inside of the turn, and you see him drop his shoulders and say, okay, this one's going to end badly. Somehow stayed up on 2 wheels. Watch this here. Riding his luck at the bank.
And as a rider, you don't know what's underneath that grass. No. You know, it could be a rock, it could be something really, really impactful there to his shoulder. Thankfully, that went about as well as it could possibly go, but it's a scary moment right there.
But riders being with memories as, in some respects, memories like a goldfish, something like that happens, they forget about it straight away.
Yeah.
When you have a situation like Faulkner, for instance, a few weeks ago, that's lingering. That's a bit more lingering, isn't it? You know, but that was a hard impact.
Yeah, you just have to have a short memory, right? Especially for the negative things. You want to really let the positive things sit and fester, and the things that don't go so well, you just have to forget about them and move on.
Forget about them. So Kai de Wolf now 10.6 seconds clear. So that gap is coming down. Is he going to run out of time? A 51.3, 49.9. So, it's frustrating for him, isn't it? Because he knows he's watching the pit board and he's seeing the signs and the time's coming down.
Yeah, and when Coenen sees that 49 on his pit board, that gives him so much hope that it's still coming. And you wonder what the messaging is to de Wolf on the pit board. They have to tell him to keep the intensity up, right? A 10-second lead can go away very quickly.
This here is not for the podium. It will tie the podium with Adamo. So that battle we saw a minute ago with McLellan and Everts, because it'll only be a point gain if he finds his way by. But further up the track, Adamo has found his way past Laengenfelder, and that moves him into 3rd place, and that's going to cement another podium as it stands right now. But look at Lucas Coenen, fastest time in Sector 3, 26.8 compared to a 28.034 seconds.
That's
the gap
a full
down
second just in Sector 3.
Down to 9.7 now, and when they hit the line this time around, de Wolf over on the line 11 laps. Is it going to be 8-something, or is it 9.4? So another 3/10 gain in that final sector. Meanwhile, Laengenfelder impatient to find his way back past Adamo. Oh, he takes it to him as well. Wanted to show him a little bit of German elbow there, but the Italian kept on his line and then defends in turn 2. These two fighting over 3rd. There may be pieces to pick up here. And will they favour Camden McLellan and Liam Everts? Because you've got 2 riders here. I'm not saying they're hotheads, but the Latino spirit of Andrea Adamo, and then just that fiery will and determination from Laengenfelder. Yeah, look at that. I'll go right, you go left. Watch him here. Almost. Adamo had to drop an elbow there. Here's how close it was from this angle. All day long. So what is the gap now? 10.3. So all of a sudden, there's time lost half a second in Sector 2 for Lucas Coenen. And the thing here, Kai de Wolf is able to just say, you know what, I'm happy riding my pace, which is what he was happy doing in the first race, but he was under pressure the whole time, which forced mistakes. Doesn't have that now to deal with. That gap is hovering 10, 12, 10, 11 seconds.
That's the key.
So we can focus. That is the key.
Yeah, if he can put in just a couple of laps where that lead doesn't come down, the mental side of that is so difficult for Coenen to really, because time is the enemy, right? He's running out 6 minutes plus 2 laps to go. He doesn't have any laps to really waste here. Every lap has to be cutting into that lead.
How deep can Camden McLellan dig in the final stages of this race here? Is that Coenen around the outside? Yes, it is. A couple of back markers ahead of him.
See the lead almost back up to 12 seconds now.
Or is that de Wolf, actually? That's de Wolf, isn't it? Yeah. But, yeah, doing a good job. Second half of the race, Kai de Wolf. So, Kai de Wolf finally breaking free from his teammate. I wonder if there has been a message from down there in pit lane just saying, look, second way, or no second overall, because of that 1-2-2-1 situation. He'll lose out on the tie-break, Coenen. But both the teammates at Nissan Husqvarna Factory Racing making each other work. A nightmare for the team, but a dream scenario for the team at the same time. Both guys firing on all cylinders, trading race wins and second places. It's going to be a 1-2 on the top step of the podium, and it's going to be the first time this year. Oh, I tell you what, that was a little bit loose there from De Wolf. No need for it either.
No, he's pushed. He's dropped his lap time back down. That was a 50.2 the last lap. That's a little bit too close for comfort there. But again, this response from him was really impressive because Coenen looked like he was on the charge, had gone from 50 down to 49. De Wolf surely got a message and said you need to pick up the intensity, and he responded.
And just using that momentum, look, that flow, not going so much for the insides where there's a good effective outside line, even here in the final turn. It's all about that, isn't it? Just dig in, hook up, takes a look across, probably sees what 12.6 seconds looks like. Oh, there he is over there. So he's gauging it himself, which is, as riders, that's what you do. When you see they're just before the jump and then they're over the jump and then they've landed on the jump, you know you're in trouble.
Yeah, when you come past the mechanics here and you see that lead growing now, it's such a rewarding feeling because he put in a big effort. He responded, lowered his lap time, and he was, say he broke Coenen, but really it's just about breaking the spirit and breaking that forward drive, and you make him relent and just settle for second.
But also, it's a tale of these two both making mistakes when under pressure. De Wolf in the first race was pressured by Coenen pretty much until he made his mistake that forced the pass. From there was no comeback. It broke his spirit, broke his resolve a little bit. But this one was the mistakes from Coenen having to play catch-up and try to force those errors, and it was he that made those mistakes himself.
Well, and you wonder how much energy did De Wolf save the second half of race 1 that he was able to exert here in race 2.
Yeah. But second, in these conditions, and the first podium of the year, you take it all day long. A little bit of traffic for Lucas Coenen to deal with. The gap now about 13 seconds between him and the race leader. Marc-Antoine Rossi is down to 8th place. Beniston 9, Elzinga 10. Back markers there just getting a little bit loose. That's also the unknown factor as well in this race, isn't it? The leaders are coming through so quick that when you do get in amongst traffic, it's knowing how to predict, and some of them wildcarding here this weekend, so you don't know. You're not always familiar on a hard pack track, let alone a sand track, where the slightest mistake can see you go from one side of the track to the other.
So how do you feel that Coenen will view this race? He let one get away. You could argue that he let the overall win get away with that mistake, but this was such a clear improvement over the first 2 rounds. It's a little bit of I think you're going to be a little bit frustrated, but you have to look at the positives and take those away going into Trentino next weekend.
Yeah, well, in terms of the championship lead, he's stemmed the flow. He's not losing any more points. Remember, he came in this weekend 38 points down off the lead, 7 off of Adamo. And if he still leaves here 38 points off, he can build from there. But it's when you go 40, 45, 50 points, you know you've still got a lot of work to do just to get back on terms with where you were at the previous round, Yeah. So he's realised now as well, I think, that second mistake cost him. He didn't make the big push, saw the times weren't coming down and said, you know what, white flag this week, I'll set the second, good for the team. And, a good step in the right direction.
Yeah, well, and I think when he lays his head on his pillow tonight, he's going to know he can win. And that's a really powerful thing. I don't think there are many other riders in the series right now, other than Kai de Wolf or Lucas Coenen, that believe they can truly win.
Yeah, and how long before we see a 100% fit Liam Everts here, number 72? He is in that 5th place. Good, solid result for him. Going to be 6th overall, 8 and 5. Those injuries, man, they just crop up just when you don't need it. He was 5th overall a week ago. It's going to be 6th overall here. So consistent, given the situation he's in. Is there going to be one last push here from Camden McLellan? He could pick him off, be 18, 15 points. It would only gain him a point, so it's not going to be good enough for a podium. Adamo on 38, he would move to 36, McLellan. So it needs something to happen ahead of him.
I think this is a really nice bounce-back ride for Everts. He looked like he was laboring. It looked like he was fatigued in race 1. So for him to find the energy and be strong here in race 2, I think leads to more good things. He's going to have more time to recover, get more track time preparation, and that thumb's going to continue to heal. So this is a positive weekend overall for Everts.
Yeah, and also a positive weekend for Camden McLellan. A career best race result in race 1. He's going to follow up here with a 6, which is going to be 4th overall. He was 5th in Sweden last year. So positive every step of the way. And great, once again, we say it, for triumph.
Yeah, Kai de Wolf looks really good here. You just see him putting sections of the track together. And I always say this, but, sand, you either work with the racetrack or you don't, and it's really obvious because carry the momentum, you're putting the bumps together, or as we watch with Jeremy Seward in MXGP class, it can look very, very difficult if you're out of rhythm. And you just see Kai, he looks comfortable, and he's making it look easy, and it is far from easy.
Yeah. Just that kind of commitment through those kind of turns. Easier said than done as well, isn't it? Because the confidence just to time it, the right kind of throttle, the right kind of pickup on the front wheel at the base of the jump, just to sort of go, right, I need to wheelie onto here to keep the drive at the back wheel, shut up at the right time or blip on the top at the right time, just to carry enough speed to land down that second or third hole, and then through the turn, not fold the front, you know.
Well, and everywhere he's putting the front and the rear tire is on purpose, right? Every decision is a dedicated one that's going to allow him to carry momentum through the bumps. Look at sections like this, he's able to go all the way around the top and carry momentum. So he's thinking about the racetrack now. You know, I mentioned it earlier in the day, when it's late, the track gets really rough. Can you find smoother lines? Can you find different ways to execute on this racetrack? And you see him using lines that he really hasn't been all day. And that's what great sand riders do, that they change their lines as the track changes.
And this time around, the heat hasn't been a problem for him. He hasn't faded, has he? But as you said, pointed it out, race one, how much did he save, realizing that there was no way he was going to pull in his teammate, get a good start, put the pressure on again in race two, because the best man will win and get on the top step of the podium if, you know, that's the scenario being played out again, as it was. You know, the top two going for it for a while. It looked like Coenen was going to pick him off.
Yeah, this has to feel like redemption, because it's hard to swallow your pride in that moment and allow Coenen to go away and lose by 20 seconds. I'm sure it didn't feel very good, but here to come back and be this strong in race two, I think proves that even with Coenen's mistake, he had energy. You can tell the way he's riding. He would have been able to put up a fight with Coenen had he continued coming.
And if it stays like this, of course, it'll be 3 Grand Prix wins in a row. He'd only ever won 1 Grand Prix in a season. It was 2 in a row. So his first 2 wins in the season came back-to-back. It's what's going to be 3 in the season. 3 in a row, first 3 rounds. Stamping his authority, flexing his muscles. And again, after going second in race 1, he's going to go win here in race 2. So it's going to be 2-1-1, 2-2-1. Hasn't finished outside the top 2. If it stays like this, that is very, very consistent.
Putting together huge points weekends each and every week.
Ooh, hello. Andrea Adamo, disqualification sign coming up on the timing, saying not coming to a full stop in pit lane. So when did he come into pit lane then? Because he is in third. He's got about 3 or 4 seconds over Laengenfelder. So actually,
I wonder if he had made a goggle stop, because I saw him waving wildly at his goggles, trying to pull roll-offs, so I wonder if he went in for a goggle change.
Interesting, because I wouldn't have thought by the time you get into pit lane, you haven't got too long. And the goggle stop is at the end of pit lane, isn't it? It's at the exit point, so you've got to come in, stop the goggles, but judging by they don't look like fresh goggles either. So not sure then why he has had to pit.
Maybe he just went over the berm, as we saw Monticelli do in the first MXGP.
Yeah, but maybe you can ride through pit lane, but then there's a speed limit there for sure. You know, you can't just go full gas through it. So a lot of questions then, a lot of uncertainty over Andrea Adamo, and that would gift the podium to Camden McLellan on what would be a dramatic final lap then. So if we can get more information on that, that'll be great. But Andrea Adamo, at the moment, he's going to cross the line. He is still in third place, isn't he? Yes, he is. So 4.4 seconds clear of Laengenfelder. Wow. So De Wolf cruising. Here he is on his final lap. Looking to make it 2-1 and a third consecutive Grand Prix victory. For the first 3 rounds, Lucas Coenen will be on the podium for the first time. It will be a Nastan Husqvarna 1-2 for the first time this year that they've had 2 riders on the podium. Then, of course, you've got Adamo, who is on the podium at the moment on 38. But if he's disqualified, then he loses those 20 points. More woes for the defending champion. You cannot afford to lose 20 points in this title race when this guy and Lucas Coenen are in the kind of form that they're in.
Well, and that's the type of thing that Adamo didn't do in 2023. When other people were making mistakes, they were giving points away. Adamo was just consistent, hung in there. He didn't have to win all the time. He didn't give away 20 points in a race just like this last year. So sometimes that's the ebb and flow of things. Last year was one way, this year could be the opposite way.
Wow, so Lucas Coenen had his moments in race 1 to go and win race 1, but it's his teammate Kai De Wolf this time around who gets the better of his young teammate, and he has been ever so cool, calm and collected this time around. Despite the hotter temperatures, the rougher racetrack, he applied the pressure from the front, if you like. He allowed Coenen to push and pressure him, and it was the Belgian that made the mistakes. And Kai de Wolf goes and wins in Sardinia. He was second overall last year. He wins 2024. He extends his lead at the top of the championship as well. Flexing his muscles once again. Kai de Wolf victorious here. And Adamo is going to be disqualified. Camden McLellan will be on the podium for the second time this year for Triumph. Fantastic news for them, although I'm sure they would have preferred different circumstances. But de Wolf wins race 2, wins the Grand Prix here in Sardinia. Coenen second, Laengenfelder will take third in the race. And Camden McLellan won't know yet. And he crosses the line in 5th, and that will be good enough for 3rd overall. So a little bit to dissect and decipher then, because de Wolf, yes, Coenen, yes. Adamo still showing as a disqualification for failing to stop in pit lane for whatever reason. Laengenfelder then should get promoted to 3rd, Everts 4th, McLellan 5th, Sasha Coenen 6th, Beniston 7, Elzinger 8, Harp 9, Marc-Antoine Rossi 10. And that means de Wolf, Coenen, McLellan will be on the podium. Or will it be McLellan, or will it be Laengenfelder? 32, 35, he will get the 20 points there. 18, 16, 15. 16 points. Well, anyway, here's Lisa. We'll work it out in a minute. Here's Kai de Wolf.
Kai de Wolf, massive congratulations. That's 3 back-to-back overall victories for you now. You did have to work hard for this one, but you just told me that was easier than the first race.
Yeah, the first race I didn't really have a good flow. Halfway when Lucas passed me, he was pretty strong in that first moto. Yeah, big shout out to him for that one. And then in the second moto, I backed off a little bit in the beginning of that because I knew Lucas was behind me, and I knew we could fight till the flag. So yeah, bumming he made a little mistake, but that made my life a bit easier. So I'm really happy with this. 3 in a row. I don't have words for it.
Fantastic, Kai. Great job there.
Kai de Wolf then picks up the race win and his 3rd Grand Prix victory of the season, 3rd in a row as well. Extends his lead at the top of the championship standings. It was a tough weekend, made tougher by his persistent teammate. But he comes out on top, shares the points, and that's all that matters. Kai de Wolf in control of this championship after 3 rounds.
La squalifica di Andrea Adamo per essere rientrato in maniera non corretta.
So Camden McLellan then does get confirmed because he will be on, what did we say, 35 compared to the 34, I think, of Laengenfelder. So only a point in it in the end. But they'll be working that down there in the skybox area and the podium zone. But yeah, Adamo dropped to 12th overall. Kai de Wolf wins race 2 from Lucas Coenen. No score for Adamo, still showing in 3rd because obviously graphics and how it all works. So Laengenfelder picks up the 3rd, 20 points. Everts 4th, Camden McLellan 5th, Sasha Coenen 6th, Beniston 7th. It will be 8th place for Rick Elzinger, 9th for Harp, and 10th for Marc-Antoine Rossi. Then we've got Bonacorsi cars makers, Oliver, Learning, Jens Wolvort. And then just after that, Jack Chambers will pick up 16th, Scottberg 17th, Tawani 18th, Clayman 19th, and yeah, the screen went at a million miles an hour there. But yeah, that's your first 3. Then look, de Wolf, Coenen, and McLellan here today. 2 podiums for Triumph in 3 rounds. Not a bad start to your rookie year
Welcome to
as a
MX2.
manufacturer.
It's incredible. Yeah, kudos to them. Great job.
Adamo looked from 3rd to 12th all of a sudden because of that disqualification. Didn't see it. Maybe there is footage somewhere or whatever, but FIM are in there constantly, so they would have seen something. Anybody that comes in, they are very adamant that if you do come in for something, you have to come to a stop, even if it's for goggles in the goggle lane. De Wolf extends his lead over Laengenfelder, who was here for damage limitation this weekend. Came so close to a podium, though, did the German. Lucas Coenen up to 3rd, Beniston up to 4th, Adamo losing more ground, losing 20 championship points as a result of that decision.
Such a heavy result. You know, he was on the right track. He was on set to get a podium here and started thinking about getting back in the championship fight, and to have that, a 20-point loss, it just changes the entire tone going into next weekend for them.
Husqvarna lead the way, and the manufacturers chase them. Gas second. The only change, Kawasaki gain a position, move up to 6th ahead of Honda. Fantic there on 34 points in 8th. Middle of the table for Triumph. It's decent.
Yeah, they've been wildly impressive. I think surpassed everyone's expectations. I don't know how you could say any differently.
Just as it was in race 1, little Sasha Coenen picking up another black plate. 4 for the year now. Looks spent, don't it?
Long day for Sasha.
He moves to 4, Laengenfelder 2, Harrop on 1. 6 motos so far this year. He's got 4 of them.
He's got one part of it figured out, that's for sure.
Just got to go back to the drawing board. Camden McLellan, congratulations, young man. Monster Energy Triumph Racing on the podium for the first time in his career in MX2. Did the hard work with a 3rd in race 1, followed it up with a decent result in race 2, and there he is, 3rd overall. Lucas Coenen, the Husqvarna Factory Racing, the shrug of the shoulders. He knew it could have been better, but 2nd overall is all he had today because of this man, Kai de Wolf, his Husqvarna teammate. 2nd in the first race, a win in race 2, a share of the points. Rasmus Jorgensen pleased that both riders are on the podium. They've brought it home safe and sound, and he will have the biggest smile on the podium today, I'm sure. Some great racing, though, between those two.
Yeah.
And there'll be a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, this is the future, right? We're watching future world champions develop here.
That will take pride of place on the mantelpiece for Camden McLellan. 3rd overall this weekend. And another podium for Monster Energy Triumph. 2nd overall, and a star Husqvarna of Lucas Coenen. Slightly eclipsed by his teammate, the more experienced Kai de Wolf. His 4th Grand Prix victory. And he does it here in Sardinia. That makes the long journey home a little bit worthwhile. Yeah. Well, although it depends if they did the ferry trip or if they're planning on staying in Italy next week, you know what I mean? Or if he's going to fly straight back to the Netherlands. But Rasmus Jorgensen, another one for the cabinet there at Nissan Husqvarna Factory Racing. This one a little bit more special because both guys on the podium. Antonio Alia Portella, the FIM CMS director. Well, he's been doing this all year. And for the 3rd time this year, he delivers the red plate to Kai de Wolf. Your overall winner here and continues to lead the championship as we head to Trentino in Italy in a week's time. That's the podium. National anthem time for the Netherlands. The body language from all three riders there. 3 different reasons to be on the podium. Kyle Wolf happy that he's got 3 in a row. Camden McLellan happy that he's on the podium, 3rd overall. The frustration there from Lucas Coenen, though, all too clear to see. 2nd overall, knows he should have done better. He'll enjoy the moment, and going back to having short memories, he'll put this out of his mind as quickly as possible. I wouldn't be surprised if he bounces back in a week's time on the top step.
Yeah, with the positives.
Here's how it went down in race 2. From about 7 or 8 gates over, just like he did in race 1, the number 19, Sasha Coenen, crossing the whole shot line ahead of everybody else. And once again, the main players were right there. Mikkel Hart went down in the first turn. He had a hard charge through the field to get into the points, but it was Kyle Wolf who led the way. So Kyle Wolf led the way. Laengenfelder into 2nd, Sasha Coenen down to 3rd. Where Lucas Coenen was. He was charging his way through. Found his way past his young brother. And then Camden McLellan got in on the act as well, up the inside of Marc-Antoine Rossi. That put him into 7th place. And then Sasha Coenen fell. Then Adamo was in the clear, but not for long. Lucas Coenen made his mistake whilst closing down his teammate for a potential race win. Picked himself up immediately, though. 1 or 2 mistakes as he found his way past Laengenfelder. And then Adamo got himself up into 3rd, and then he was disqualified for a pit lane infringement. But no doubt about the race winner, the Grand Prix winner, Kyle Wolf, wins here in Sardegna.
Kyle Wolf, congratulations. It was very much battle of the teammates for you this weekend. Race 1, you lost the lead, but you definitely weren't going to make that same mistake twice. You responded well to the threat behind you.
Yeah, Lucas was doing an amazing job also in that 2nd moto. He really kept me honest, but yeah, this was a nice one. 3 in a row is amazing, and hopefully we can keep this momentum going into next week. And yeah, we just keep aiming for a podium. That's the main goal. So I look forward for next week and can't thank the team enough for this one.
Thanks, Guy. 2nd overall today we have Lucas Coenen. Lucas, I guess mixed emotions for you. Outsmarted your teammate in race 1, but despite some incredible racing in that 2nd race, I guess that was a costing mistake.
Yeah, of course. First moto was perfect. I managed to get him at the end. And 2nd moto, I was bad start, but I managed to come back in his wheel. And I made a stupid tip over. I wanted to follow him like I did in the 1st moto, but yeah, these mistakes don't need to be there now. But yeah, the win is coming. It's coming, so yeah, 1st podium of the season is not bad.
Thanks, Lucas. 3rd overall, we have Camden McLellan. Camden, 2 solid races for you in your 1st podium. Describe the emotions right now and tell us about your weekend.
To be honest, I'm not feeling very great right now, but I'm happy. Can't thank the Monster Energy Triumph Racing crew enough. They took a chance on me, and it's paying off. I'm coming, I'm getting better every weekend, so can't thank Vince enough. My 2 mechanics, Brandon and Cyril. It's a long weekend, long 2nd moto, and I'm feeling it, but I'm happy, and I can't thank the whole crew enough.
Great job. Thanks, Camden.
I like that honest response from Camden McLellan. Yeah, honestly, I'm not feeling very good. He's spent, and that's it. But anyway, Jason and I will be back in a moment for MXGP Race 2. See you then.